Children's childhood should be carefree and happy, not living in a nightmare in their own home. As being a victim of child abuse, I understand the loneliness that follows. In these cases, children either stay silent because they trust no one or have anyone to turn to and have the fear of not being believed. Today, I will inform you about the emotional, physical, and verbal signs of child abuse. Now, a lot of people sometimes think that child abuse is overlooked because of the hardships of believing these children, especially if they think they know the parents and feel that the parents are not like that and would never treat their child physically or verbally or sexually in a bad way. People do not notice the signs of child neglect and abuse. Children tend to change when being abused. They either become silent or, as many parents would claim, act out. Studies have shown that because of many abuse, children will develop PTSD and other mental health issues. Now, with this, it's harder for children to be fully diagnosed with this because they are at a young age where their brains are still developing and that they do not understand the emotions that are being caused with them. Now, the source, Child Physical Abuse Screening and Pediatric ED, that I found on EICC Library, claims were diagnosed with ICD-11, PTSD, and 32 individuals with CPTSD, each after childhood sexually and or physically abused. Now, with that quote, it shows how a lot of people who go through abusive situations, no matter in what abuse they have gone through, they will develop mental health issues, and the most common one is PTSD, which is also known as post-traumatic stress disorder. Nobody understands how serious this is. Your kid or future kid or even yourself is not able to enjoy life without being afraid to be hit, yelled at, or touched in a way that you would not want to be touched. Not only could it be kids around us, but it can also soon be yours. This is not okay. We need to prevent this from happening and especially increasing in our near future. With doing this, we need to enhance primary health care and DHS. For a system to offer security within your home, it does not feel committed to their name, especially when it comes to child abuse. A lot of cases are overcome because DHS believes the abuser over the victim. They are not taken into consideration, and it also causes a child's situation to become even worse. Because of them speaking out about it and telling the law, of course, their parents will either continue the abuse or worse. Of course, if the abuser is being reported, especially to the law, they would lie their way out of the report just so they will be found not guilty or be charged with child abuse. There was a kid who had put in a report of being abused, and the DHS people had not believed the kid because the abuser had claimed that they were not in the wrong, that it was discipline, and that they had every right to do what they had did. Now with this child, of course, telling the law about this, he had gotten hit even more, of course, and was punished a lot for even speaking about what he had gone through, especially to an adult who even has more control over the law and what they should do over this. I understand DHS does have some privileges, especially when it comes to the law and how they work things out with cases, but at the same time, the way DHS had handled this situation was not that entirely good, especially when the kid was not lying. And what would you expect for the abuser to not lie? I mean, honestly, it's not untruthful if an abuser does not lie. This caused the case to be closed, of course, and that child was still continued to be abused, meaning how we need to improve DHS. With other states, their DHS in childcare has improved, and the child abuse percentage decreased. New Jersey had a sophisticated decrease by a lot, and with doing this, they had promoted parenting, like good ways to parent and what you should and should not do. Also, telling people to seek help and better the child care system a lot more drastically. Before you hesitate about this situation, thinking, oh, what if they are lying, or what if it's not going to be true, what could you be doing? Studies had shown from differentiating processing of emotional cues in adolescents and young adults with ICP-11 PTSD and complex PTSD after child abuse, only 4% of children would lie about their abuse. That being 96% of children claims are true about their abuse. Just because there's 4% where some children lie, I understand children would tend to lie about that and not knowing why. It still does not better the fact about the 96% that is not lying. It should not be difficult to believe if a kid is being abused in any way. Now, let's imagine what the world would look like if there was no child abuse, and if we did a lot of change on this situation with a bunch of improvement. From my point of view, I see happy, unfearful children, them being able to grow up and not have that fear of ever being abused in any way. Our children will be able to grow up in a world where they do not fear people and where they do not fear the darkness it beholds. Where children can remember their childhood with puppies and rainbows, and being able to deserve what these children would want. Now, what is sad about this is that it is not fair that children have to go through these situations from their loving parents. It is only fair to give our loving children what they deserve. As I can see from a lot of the point of the view, if this had not happened, or if, let's say if this has increased more drastically, if child abuse was still ongoing and just kept getting worse, then the world would just be filled with a dark aura if this does not stop. Nobody would be able to let any of their children anywhere, not even with anyone, especially because who knows what could potentially happen. We are raising kids in a guilty conscience of not being heard or not being secure, and especially wherever your child goes. But the question is, do you just not care? What if your child's innocence was taken away? Is that still not being bothered? No child will be safe anywhere around their friends, around their playground, and even in their own home. Children need to have the opportunity to be able to call for help if they are in an abusive, sexually, physically, verbally abused place. With presentation, we can enhance DHS, spread awareness, and learn responsible parenting for our kids, and especially telling other parents what they could be doing wrong from right. Now, knowing that kid that I had talked about, it was sad about him not being heard and especially having to keep quiet. As the source of child abuse, Mayo Clinic had shown that that child had continued that abuse, also being against the law, with DHS not being informed anymore. To my audience, thank you for listening. As you expect, this will bring me to the end and hopefully child abuse. Thank you.